Hello, welcome. It's day 2 of Made to Thrive. I'm so happy that we're here. Can we just take a moment to appreciate what got us here? Because it's you and it's the life that you've lived, this big, big life that you've dared to live and go after. And I just want to say, can we celebrate that for a second? Can we celebrate the amazing, incredible, ambitious, driven, big vision, big heart that you have that actually got you here? I'm so over the narrative that, like, if you're burnt out, there's something wrong with you. If you can't tell, I'm over the narrative and I'm here to establish a new one. So, if there's nothing else that you get from this time with me, let it be that you're amazing, you're rocking the game of life, and how much courage it takes to show up and live life and go after the things that you've already gone after in your life, and the fortitude and the perseverance and the courage that it takes to like be here right now is massive. Okay. I already know what you've overcome in your life to get here. I mean, I don't know, no, but I know, right? It's major. I also know that when you get to the point where you're like actually exploring the idea of burnout and you're experiencing it and you're curious about it, and you're really wondering, like, okay, how am I going to solve this thing? You've, by the time you finally land on this body of work that is Dr. Tami's, you have tried all the things. You've tried the therapy. You've tried the 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 meditation apps. You've tried the retreats. You've tried mindset work. Like, goodness knows you've tried mindset work. You've tried self-help. You have exhausted all of the viable wellness, self-care strategies, stress management strategies. And I don't know why I'm putting all of those in quotes. I guess because I see them as helpful. They're helpful. I still love all those things. Okay. You will still see me reading a self help book. You will still see me engaging in coaching and counseling and therapy from time to time. You will still see me going on retreats, and like, you will still see me doing all of those things because they're beneficial, but they can't solve burnout. Right. This is like the thing is that we're applying these sort of like mood boosters, self evolution strategies onto an operating system that cannot receive the download. You know, I don't want to throw out too many analogies, but one of the analogies that really helps me like land this stuff. I know yesterday we talked about like the whole guitar strings, and we might come back to that one in day 3 because I have another point that I want to make about that, but it might not. We'll see if it fits in today. You never know what's going to happen here. I don't know what's going to happen here. A little bit. So, one of the analogies that I often entertain is the idea of like your computer, right? Because this is something we all can relate to. How many times have you had the computer and you go to update the software? I don't know how many times this happened to me in college. Is it because I was like always buying those like cheap Acer laptops? Anybody else? Anybody else? Raise a hand, drop a 1. Let me know. Was I like the only kid trying to save all their money in college? And so, because there were other fun things to do other than like actually get the schoolwork done. So every, like, I don't know, was it like every 8 months, every year? I can't totally remember, but I remember it happening at the most inconvenient times when like you have the paper due and you have to upgrade Windows Word, right? And you go to update it and the computer's like, there's no capacity. There is literally no gigabytes left on this operating system. The software cannot be updated because the hardware is not optimized. So you buy a new computer, right? in so many ways, that correlation works because the nervous system is the hardware. The mindset work, the therapy, the counseling, the visualization, the meditation, the expanding your consciousness, all of those things massively beneficial to where you want to go in this life. But if the hardware, if the operating system, if the nervous system is not balanced, is not properly calibrated, and doesn't actually exist on a network that can receive the download, it like auto expels it, right? Like it cannot be received, cannot be downloaded. And so I really wanted to share that with you because I think it's another layer of the theme of yesterday, which is like, oh my gosh, as I have this expanded understanding of what's actually happening here, I get to take myself off the hook. I get to realize I'm not the problem. And that revelation, that realization alone can radically shift your life. Right. And so this is like, I'm in the business of changing lives. I don't know if you've picked up on that. I am in the business of changing lives. And I have learned throughout the many, 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 many years that I've been at this game of like, okay, I had my burnout. I left medicine. I left surgery. And I was trying to figure out how I was going to create the life that I love, the life that I want to live. And that is part of the theme of today. Sustainable success, right? And deciding what that is for you, what you want it to look like, what you want it to feel like. And we're going to dive even more into that in day 3. This 3-day event is already like, we're just getting started into day 2. This is meant to enrich you, expand you, enliven you, activate something within you, maybe a deep knowing that you've always had that you are a powerful creator in your life. And that this sort of roadblock that you keep hitting up against, this seeming inability to continue to create this exceptional life that you've already been on the trajectory of creating. And my hope is whether you're interested in continuing the current trajectory or you're interested in a pivot or a major life transition, whatever it is, there is a version of you that knows that if you carry this pattern into the future, that you will not be able to sustain the success that you truly desire, right? You and I both know this. There's probably a part of you that's known for a long time that this actually runs deeper. And you've been looking actually for the solution that runs deeper. And I don't think that there's anything that runs deeper than the nervous system. And so for so many of us, it's like we find this work and there is relief in knowing that we're not the problem, that we're not broken, that we're not somehow fundamentally flawed. That alone is just priceless. But there also comes this moment where it's like, oh my gosh, okay, let's talk real solutions. I get it. The problem is deeper. I get it. I actually have an operating system problem. What does that mean? What does solving that look like? And we're going to dive into some of that today. The other thing that I think is really important to mention is I want you to be able to sit back. I want you to really enjoy this. If it's helpful to you to have like a notepad and a pen, if it's helpful for you to have a glass of water, your favorite cup of tea, will you sit back? Will you let yourself receive this information? Okay. I'm going to lean back a little bit. I'm even pulling isn't it great to have a desk on wheels? Like my favorite thing. And it goes up and it's like a hydraulic, right? I can stay, anyways. Highly recommend 10 out of 10 if you don't already have yourself a desk on wheels that has hydraulics. Okay. I digress. So I wanted to bring you in. I wanted to lean back a little bit with you because this conversation is just going to be intimate and real. because that's how I roll, right? If you wanted a superficial solution, you'd be somewhere else. So I'm going to roll with you under a few assumptions. I'm going to roll with you today under the assumption that you are a magnificent creator in your life and you know how powerful your mind is in creating results in your life, and you want to be able to optimize that capacity so that you can keep creating the life that you want to live. I'm also going to make another assumption about you. Your heart is big, like huge. Okay. And that big, bold, beautiful heart of yours feels like it's become increasingly out of reach, and that it's something that you're working really hard to connect with. And that might be contributing, or a major contributor to the way that you show up with your family and the things that mean so much to you. A little disconnected, a little withdrawn, a little impatient, a little critical, a little hypercritical. If I'm talking about myself, when I'm in these like chronic overdrive stressed states, oh, to understand that this is a neurobiological phenomenon and not a personal character flaw, that brings peace to my heart. And I hope it brings peace to yours. Okay. So we've made a few assumptions about you. I'm going to give you the third assumption that I'm making about you as I lead today and tomorrow, right? And the third assumption is, well, I guess tied into number two and into number three. Number three is you want solutions. You want solutions. And you're the kind of person that gets what you want. You're the kind of person that gets what they want or works towards what they want, and you don't give up until you get what you want. I like that about you. I like that about me. So these are the things. And this is like, whether it's, and it's big, right? Because what we don't often recognize is it's our nervous system capacity, the nervous system state that determines our capacity to lead in our lives, right? For many of us, we know we are the epicenter of our lives. We know this. We also know we are the epicenter of our homes. And when we aren't well, when we aren't optimized, neither is our home or our work or where we're headed or what we're doing, right? So we're going to move ahead under these assumptions. If you don't meet these criteria, you are welcome to stay and listen and just enjoy this exquisite level of information. But we all know that information is information, right? That applied information is power, right? So for the person that wants to bring this power into their life, they're going to be listening with the opportunity to know how to apply this. And the person who's just really relieved to know that they're not the problem, like you get to marinate in that, and that is my gift to you, and enjoy it. Because I know that if you've gotten here, the level of self-blame, maybe even self-flagellation, self-abuse, self-loathing has been a significant factor in your life. And the liberation of that alone literally will add years to your life. Just that alone. Just that alone. And so that's valuable. That's priceless. You're also going to hear me talk a little bit today about a few offers that I have. I want you to sit back and just relax and like not get caught up in any of it, because you'll receive another invitation later. You can't even get in right now, right? So like you don't even have to be like, oh wait, is that the thing that I want? Is that the thing that I want? Is it for your purposes right now? None of them are actually available, and you'll hear about them when they are. You will be formally invited when the time is right for you to enter. But just so we're aware, there are three things that go on in the world of Dr. Tami right now. One of them is Stress Mastery Academy. This is the flagship signature program that is all about rebalancing, recalibrating, and repatterning your nervous system so that you get to lead your life at your full capacity. By the end of this session, you're like gonna be all in on wanting to get in the doors as soon as they open. And I'm really excited for you because that program will change your life. I'm in love with it. I'm in love with the client results. I'm in love with everything that happens there. It is something that I'm really, really proud of. It is like I could be moved to tears because it is the thing that when you're in your darkest night of the soul, when you're at your moment where you're on your knees and you're like, I don't understand why this is happening, but there's something within you that tells you that it's for a reason. And there is something beautiful on the other side of this. I did not know Stress Mastery Academy was going to be the thing that was going to solve burnout for people, for systems. And the fact that that journey that I had to go through, that I went through, has led to this offering is one of the greatest. It just goes to show you that if you just hang in there and you believe and you have faith, life will take you to the most radical, wild of places. It will bring you to your knees where you are weeping, wondering why, and it will bring you to your knees where you're weeping, saying thank you. Right? So that's the nutshell of Stress Mastery Academy. From its inception to now, I am on my knees saying thank you. And you will too once you have the opportunity to experience it and go through it. So I'm like tearing up over here. There's another offering in the ecosystem of Dr. Tami right now, and that is the Thrive Mastermind. That is a year-long container. That is for the person that wants to go beyond foundational nervous system optimization and really wants to start exploring what does it look like to bring this to integrate into my everyday life, into what it is to show up in my life, to be the self-led leader who is leading others in my home, in my work, in my community, in my life. And then there's like, right, the VIP mentorship experience. That's when you go all in. You want one-on-one. You want to be in really close proximity. You're recognizing there's really something going on with this Dr. Tami. Like she goes from epic burnout to creating multiple six-figure, seven-figure companies. And there's some like, how does that happen? People get into close proximity space with me so that they can get curious about how that happened and learn how to make it happen for themselves, right? How do we lead? How do we live? How do we love more fully, more wholly, more freely, right? And yes, that is a nervous system state. And yes, our nervous system is always feeding back to us valuable, critical, mission critical information. And eventually we start to realize I had a conversation recently with a VIP client and they were like, okay, really, you are a subconscious surgeon. Like you were able to figure out this pattern, like in just one conversation. But what people don't understand is like, I'm always listening. I am always listening. And so what feels like a breakthrough moment, which happens in nearly every conversation, which just lights me up so much because I am listening. I am like so tuned in. And because I have this gift of seeing patterns, those one-on-one conversations are just exquisite. Exquisite for me, exquisite for my clients. So I'm in love with the mastermind space. I am absolutely beyond honored to be the conduit that Stress Mastery Academy has been birthed through. And so whatever lands for you, whatever piques your interest, I think you get to trust yourself. I think you get to trust yourself that when the invitation, if the invitation comes your way, to take a step in the ecosystem, in the world that is mine, that I have intentionally cultivated and created and poured my heart into, that you will know what's right for you when that time comes. But if I throw these words around, I just want you to know what they are. So there's Stress Mastery Academy, there's the Thrive Mastermind, and there's the VIP experience, right? That's it. So one of the points of this whole masterclass series is I wanted to pour into you. I want to deliver to you. I want you to experience a shift within yourself. So close the tabs, close all the other things that are going on. Let yourself experience this. Let yourself open to what I'm actually saying here. And maybe you're multitasking while you listen. If you're like me, I'm multitasking to almost everything. And then I will take a moment where I'm like, okay, flag this. I'm coming back to this when I have a moment to myself. And I'll even create those pockets of time where I have time to myself to dive into the things that are really nourishing to me. Because if I'm not nourished, if I'm not resourced, I have so fully come to this place. If I am not resourced, sustainable success isn't even on the list of optional outcomes for me, right? And what we've explored yesterday was you can endure so much. Like you can be high performing, high functioning, and be depleted, exhausted. That's an option. And we've been living that way for a really long time, which is why we're asking ourselves, how much longer is this actually sustainable for? How much longer can I do this? And so today is going to be this breakthrough moment for you where you go, oh, this is actually where sustainable success lives. I finally get it now. Because that you have major motivation, you have a huge battery pack, your resilience is epic, it's off the charts. Your pursuit of success is not the problem. The internal operating system has not been optimized to meet that. So I am, I guess, going back to this guitar analogy right here because it feels like it fits. Yesterday I had mentioned briefly, like when you are tuning the guitar and you start like strumming, right? You start strumming, let's just say the C string. I don't play the guitar. I'm assuming there's a C string. Don't all instruments have a C? No. Okay. So yes, we're gonna roll with the analogy, even though I don't totally know uh, a guitar. I've never played a guitar outside of like, a spoof. So, but as you strum one string, let's say the C string, nearby guitars that have the same C string tuned in the same way start vibrating. They start vibrating. Resonance. This is resonance. This is resonance frequency. That things that are like other things can activate each other. So, yesterday in day one, we were talking about how the string, right, that is our nervous system was attuned in childhood. And if you were it, I'm going to say that 99% of my followers, it's 100% of my clients. Okay, 99.999% of my clients can identify that they've had a stressful childhood, that there were stressors, extreme stressors in the dynamics of either their family of origin or their extended family that influenced the family of origin, or the society and the culture that influenced the home, right? And so our nervous systems are attuned to these states. So dig this. Dig this. strings, let's say your nervous system is the string, right? That's attuned to a high stress state. When it's in a high stress environment or around other nervous systems that are activated at a high stress level, it activates yours. This is actually, I had this epiphany moment just last night. I started understanding emotional contagion in an entirely new way because I was thinking about this and this analogy from yesterday. I just love how, like, when the level of consciousness is ready, you receive the information that is meant for you, right? And the information that was meant for me to share today is that this might be the root of emotional contagion, that it's actually nervous system states that are meeting other nervous system states and then activating what's already within you. So as I had this like nervous system that was attuned to very high stressed environments and very high stressed people, it was no wonder that like the kind of like the situations that were circulating in my personal life were activating that, were resonant with this high stress state. And it's no wonder that I found myself thriving, rocking it in the world of surgery and emergency surgery and critical care, right? Because I was resonant there. We were on the same frequency, activating one another. So interesting, so fascinating to me. As I've been really diligently doing nervous system work, which has really actually only been the last 5 years, where I finally realized, oh my gosh, it is actually the nervous system state. And I started going like all in on it. I was like, okay, I am optimizing this thing. I've been doing mindset work my whole entire life. Why does some of it work? Why does some of it not work? I'm a transformation coach. I'm like, this is what I do is I help people change their brain and change their life. Like this is what I do. Why do some people run with it and some people don't? And this is the missing piece. This is the missing piece is that your nervous system determines what becomes possible for you. As I started doing nervous system work, I noticed the relationships that were around me stopped triggering me, activating me in the same way because my string was attuned to a different frequency. So the people around me that were really stressed didn't activate mine anymore. Is your mind being blown right now? The level of sovereignty, the level of personal power that is innately embedded in the design of the human is phenomenal and fascinating. What? So I can shift my nervous system state. And when I do, I'm no longer a match. I'm no longer activated when I'm in stressful environments. Do you understand what I'm saying? I thought I had to leave surgery to save my life. I'm glad I did. Like all of it had to happen the way that it did. I have no doubt. But it's really interesting to me to like just contemplate what would have been possible if I had optimized my nervous system then, right? The pivot would have been far more graceful, no doubt. You know, and so I really want to just like scream this from the rooftops. It's like the hill I'm willing to die on is that so much of the things that keep us feeling like tethered to the past, to the patterns that no longer serve us. We're trying to move forward. We can't figure out why we can't get it done. we're starting to blame ourselves because we're seeing success stories all around us, and nobody is really breaking it down. Nobody is really saying like, oh, your operating system needs to be optimized. Oh, and by the way, here's a step-by-step process, a proven, measurable, scientifically based process for you to do it in real time. Right? Like, what kind of gift is that? Yes, please, and more, please. Right? And so this the same fundamental practice that allows us to actually optimize our ability to get through life. That is a gift that only gets to build on itself. Right? So we did touch on this a little bit yesterday, but I want to make sure that we're all clear that like we cannot create the sustainable success that we really want from a chronically depleted internal state. You cannot do it. And you know that. You already know that. And what it is it's nervous system dysregulation that's actually creating the depleted state. And when your internal system is overloaded, even beautiful things can begin to feel heavy. Even beautiful things can begin to feel heavy. I want to share a story. I had this moment last night, and I already shared this in the mastermind space because I'm always dropping like real life nuggets, right? Because I'm journeying through like the Thrive Mastermind, the beautiful humans in this space, we are journeying through life together, and we are really a support network for one another in the sense that when you are being witnessed by other people on the journey, and when you hear about somebody who is really applying this to their lives, it is deeply inspiring. It is deeply motivating. It is profoundly inspiring. And when we like, I want as many touch points like that in my life as possible because as we know, it's like the ecosystem determines what you're creating. Our ecosystem is so important. Environment, right? Environment, surroundings, ecosystem. And so I have this moment where I'm like kind of like chiming in with the mastermind, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys, I had this moment. I had this moment last night. I'm single parenting for the night, and I had just finished the day one of Made to Thrive, and I still wanted to like get it lightly edited, get it uploaded, right? It has to get uploaded here and then downloaded here and then uploaded here, and there needs to be a description, and then there needs to be an email that follows up with the link, and like, okay, there's a lot of moving pieces. And I've already got my team working on something else on the back end. So I'm like, okay, I have to pick the kids up from school. We're going to pick up dinner. We're going to make dinner for one of the kids because they don't eat what the other one did, right? And all of this still has to happen. And my trophy husband is not available, right? And I have this moment where I notice during pickup time, I am operating from my adrenal glands. I am stressed. And that is fuel, right? You can live on the fuel of your adrenal glands for a good long while. It just doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. So I had this moment where I got coherent, where I did what we teach inside Stress Mastery Academy. One of the most valuable practices I've ever had in my entire life. We call it the Take Five practice. And in under a minute, I am back in my heart and I am able to make a new choice. Where do I want to live from? Where do I want to live from? What fuel source do I want to have access to? Because I can live off the adrenals. I can do that. That is an option. Or I can live resourced from my heart. I can connect to the woman that I want to be. I can connect to the way I want to lead, the way I want to show up for my kids, the way I want to show up as a wife, the way I want to show up as a coach, as a thought leader, as a business owner, as a self-led woman, as a self-led human. I get to decide how I'm going to lead. And as soon as I got into my heart, everything changed. My nervous system settled. The Take Five practice got me back online. I move out of the most primitive regions of my brain, right? I move out of the reptilian brain. I move into the prefrontal cortex. And now I get to live aligned with my highest values, goals, aspirations. Self led, self leadership. It is the most critical life skill that nobody has ever actually taught us. We discussed yesterday in day one that actually one of the most painful parts of burnout is the loss of of being self-directed, right? The inability to access the anterior cingulate gyrus. It's known as the gear shifter of the brain. It's the thing that allows you to redirect your thoughts, right? We're trying to think more positively. I use that in quotes because I now know that there's no like positive and negative. There's stressful and there's like stressful emotions or stressful thoughts, or there's renewing, regenerative, replenishing, resourced thoughts and emotions. One spends incredible wastes, siphons off massive amounts of energy. Those are my stressful thoughts and emotions. And one fuels me, one allows me to optimize the energy that I have available and direct it to the things that I actually care about. And the only thing that gives me conscious choice, the only thing that gives you conscious choice in your life is what is the state of your nervous system. And if you knew that you could spend a couple weeks rebalancing it, and then you would have this ability to, on the spot, on demand, on command, get it back in alignment, attune it the way that you want it to, so you could be fully self directed and lead yourself the way that you want to. Is that not like the Holy Grail? Is that not like turning water into wine? Is that not profound alchemy? Is that not turning shit into gold? Or is it lead, right? I'm sorry, lead into gold. Is that not what that is? Very exciting. It's very exciting, right? So we get to this place where we're talking about burnout, but I think you very quickly see we're not just talking about preventing burnout. We're actually talking about going from surviving to thriving. And now that you have this little bit of understanding of the cost of surviving, and we've barely touched the surface on the real cost of surviving, because that cost, it is so big. It is so big. It is anxiety. It is panic attacks. It is elevated heart rates. It is elevated blood pressure. It's being told by your family doctor that you might have to retire soon. It's that internal narrative that tells you, I don't know how much longer you can do this. It is that feeling of like, this is killing me. this is killing me. I need a new way forward. I need a new plan. I might have to quit. I might not be able to do this anymore. Right? That's the physical cost. There's a mental cost. There's a mental cost from living from these stressed regions of the brain and living on that neural circuitry that keeps perpetuating the stress that we're experiencing. There is a very significant cost to that, right? And it affects your mental well being beyond mental and emotional health. It affects the way that you make decisions. It affects the way that you perceive the world. It amplifies doubt, insecurity, fear. Has us feeling like we have less time than we do, has us feeling like we have more to do that we have time for, has us feeling like we're not enough, that we're not good enough, activates all of the insecurities and the fears that every human has carried since antiquity, right? Like these are all just normal human emotions that become essentially toxic because they never shut off. When we're in a chronically stressed state, that system never goes silent. Sometimes not even when you sleep. It keeps you up. Mm, wired but tired. That's that. That's that thing. Right. So the cost is big. It's physical, it's mental, it's emotional, it's relational. It's in your home. It's in your relationship with your kids. It's in the relationship with your significant other. It's in the relationship with your family. It's in the relationship with yourself. And everything is an extension of that. And so we haven't even talked about financial costs. Let's like just hit on that for a second. Because when we're operating from these very like primitive stress-based circuitry in the brain, we're actually also living on um, everything that's related to surviving, right? So like survival instincts, which is like accumulation, hoarding, accumulating. And so a lot of times what we end up hoarding and accumulating is like consumer goods. We end up spending obscene amounts of money. And it's almost like an addiction, right? Some of us do it with food, some of us do it with shopping, some of us do it with Netflix, with social media, with like we'll do anything to escape ourselves, right? And we don't realize that that compulsion, it's almost like a compulsion. We try to reel it in. We work so hard to reel it in. We like, oh, come on, let's just get this under control. I'm not going to do this anymore. And we never stop to realize, maybe until now, this might be your big epiphany moment, that that's actually a stressed nervous system seeking relief. Your nervous system is so deeply intelligent. You are so deeply intelligent. And when you start understanding these patterns as signs of intelligence, you'll be like, oh my gosh, the question stops being like, how can I get through this? How can I push harder? How can I make this happen? Because none of that's actually working. And the question it becomes, how can I resource myself? How can I support myself? How can I give myself the gift of shifting out of this? What does my nervous system need? And those are the questions that will actually solve like the physical, mental, emotional, financial, relational, and spiritual. Like I did not realize that my burnout journey was going to actually bring me even closer to a concept of something bigger than me and an energy field that is always here to work with me, and it was going to bring me into the like the psycho spiritual power of the mind, you know? Like yes, it's like I want to be self-directed and I want to guide my life, and I want to ascend and transcend levels of consciousness, and I want to be co-creating with something so much bigger than me because that lights me up. I want to do really big things. And I want to do it co-creating with something that like defies logic. Like there's no linear scale. Like, you know, your life kind of just like goes like it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And it makes people go like, how did she do that? How did she do that? Because the mind is that powerful. Your energy is that powerful. And it will take an exquisite calibration of your nervous system to allow you to hold that level of leadership in your life. And when you hold a vision and you hold an outcome and you can have faith in a process, unbelievable things will unfold in your life. Right. And what's so awesome about any of the work that is inside my ecosystem is you don't have to believe in anything for it to work. You don't have to believe in anything. You don't even have to believe in yourself. You just have to trust the science. You just have to trust that, like, okay, I have a nervous system. This makes perfect sense. I have not been able to keep any of my downloads. Maybe I have an operating system problem. This is all adding up. The harder I try, the harder I work, the worse it gets. Because the harder you try, should we break that down a second? Why that happens? When we're in a chronically stressed nervous system state and we start trying harder, what ends up happening is we start layering on stress. And stress is multifactorial, right? Not only do we live in a very stressful just environment, right? Like there's a lot of concerns about toxins and exposures in our air and our water quality and things of this nature, right? So there's that. And then there's also like the the stressors that we are exposed to in our everyday life that is like mentally and emotionally stressful. And I lost my train of thought for a second. Where were we going? I was going with this that there's multiple stressors, there's multiple inputs. Ah, yes. Okay. And so you're doing the work. I lost it for a second, but I'm back. Back online. The power of getting coherent. And so I took a moment and so when we are able to see that we are experiencing a high nervous, like a high state of stress, it's actually that moment of awareness that becomes the most powerful liberator. And when we try, so you've had that moment of awareness, and instead of it liberating you, you reached for a tool, you reached for a skill, you reached for a practice, you reached for a solution that did not work, that could never work because it wasn't designed for the neurobiological phenomenon that's at the root of burnout. And what happens when you try that solution and it doesn't work for you because it can't, not yet. It can help optimize you once you're optimized. It can take you further once you're already right. It can do valuable things. But the wrong solution, even the right solution for the wrong problem is still the wrong solution. Right? So those are solutions. They will be beneficial. Everything that you've done up until now gets to start stacking once you do the nervous system work. But once you do work that fails, you start thinking you're a failure. You start amplifying frustration, and now that is profoundly stressful to us high capacity, high achieving, deeply ambitious, big hearted humans. When we get faced again and again and again with the idea that we are somehow broken, flawed, or failing, that level of moral injury is so deeply painful, it cuts deeper than a knife. It is so stressful for us to carry that burden. And now, just like when you tighten the string on the guitar, your nervous system is winding even tighter, right? You're even more stressed. There's even more tension on the system. The goal is not to become less ambitious. The goal is not to stop going after your dreams. The goal is not to do less. The goal is to optimize your nervous system so you have a real capacity to meet your life, your dreams, your goals, so that you have the ability to transition and show up for yourself and those you love with the best of what's within you. And I know that you are so good. I know that you have such a good heart. And I love seeing the right solutions in the hands of good people because you deserve a real solution. You deserve the right solution for the right problem at the right time. Ah, so beautiful. I loved sharing this time with you. If you don't mind, I want to just take a moment to make sure I touched on all of my notes. I think we kind of did, right? That what becomes available on the other side, right? And we're going to dive even more into this in day three is like, okay, I get it. Sustainable success can't like I need a nervous system that can take me there, that can allow for it, that I can lead from, that I can lean on. Oh, so I can hold, create, maintain, and enjoy this life. Is this not the purpose? Is this not the purpose? Because your life is going to ask you to dream big. And it's so interesting that so many of the things that are in our life right now that feel really heavy, that feel like it's a lot to get through, were once upon a time just a dream, right? I dreamed of owning not just one company, but two. I dreamed of being in this position. I dreamed of changing lives. I dreamed of showing up for myself, and I dreamed for going big, and I dreamed of having these two gorgeous children and the family that I have and this magnificent husband and this magnificent life. And like this life, the life that you create does not happen on accident. You will not wake up one day and accidentally be living a life that you absolutely treasure. You are the one creating it. You are the one that has to keep sustaining it and nourishing it and replenishing it. And it starts from within us. It starts from within. You know, I had this moment where I was messaging my mastermind and I was just I it's so fascinating to me because like I dreamed this dream and now I'm like wondering like how I can meet all of the pieces of it. We're never going to not be human. And so let's not let our humanity, our humanness be the problem. It's not. It is so not the problem. And in fact, I think it's our humanness and our humanity that actually makes this whole thing make sense, be enjoyable, be you know, it's like that humanness. It's me being it's us being vulnerable and real with other people and having a space where we say like I'm having a human moment. Like I do realize like I have created all of this and now it feels like it could be heavy. That pattern, because I've experienced profound debilitating burnout, that pattern of stress that lives in my mind and my body, there's a network there that can be reactivated. And truly, the greatest gift I can give myself is the gift of conscious choice to be aware of it and to shift out of it and to give myself a chance at a new choice. And I will celebrate that opportunity every chance I can. because not having to live there is the greatest gift. To expect myself to not be human is not realistic. To allow myself the capacity to show up and lead and live and love this life, that is everything. We're going to dive into that into day 3. Come back. Again, I'm open to your questions. Submit them via email, message me on either Instagram or LinkedIn. I'm checking those things. Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you for a great session. I'm so glad we were here. I'm so glad we're doing this work. This is where the game changes. This is where we get to create a new future. And the whole point is that we get to move beyond survival and into thriving. This is the whole point of Made to Thrive. We're moving into thriving not as a fantasy, but as a very real lived possibility for you. Because once you understand the problem and what true solutions require of you, now the next question becomes like, what kind of life do you want to build, create, live, and share? I can't wait to see you tomorrow. Have the most beautiful day. Send in your questions if you have them. I'm here for you. We're here for you. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.